I like the haircut, Diana.
Thank you, Kent.
What does it remind you of, Kent?
Beautiful, stunning.
Woman? I don't know. What am I
So-
supposed to say?
Woman, like Pretty Woman?
Thank you, Kent. Yes.
What did you say?
It's a mom bob.
A mom?
It's a mom bob. Yeah, it's when
Mom bob.
people have, when moms have kids that are young, they end up cutting off their hair. And every mom goes through it, but it looks good.
I'm not going through anything.
Every mom goes through it.
Scoop City is brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Hi, everybody. I'm the athletic senior NFL insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the National Football League.
Sunday was the longest day of my life. We had
Everyone's
so
life.
much football. Then Monday night, more football, tons of it. And I wouldn't have it any other way, except I'm so behind on sleep. Are you still doing the no coffee thing, by the way?
No, I'd say so.
I appreciate your honesty because
Yeah,
I
I
did
gotta
not
be
know
honest
how
with you.
you were going to get through the season without drinking coffee.
Well, look, people were talking about how it was like such a late start. You know what? For the Eastern time zone, it was like 6:45 on the Pacific time zone, and I go to bed at 7:30, so it was very difficult for me this morning.
Yes, for everyone covering football and anyone that loves football, which is why we want to celebrate not just all of the action, but we want to celebrate your birthday here, Chase. So happy birthday to you.
How old am I?
46.
Don't. Oh, you know what? Just continue on with the show.
Yeah.
46.
So since it is your birthday, we thought that we would let you have some birthday wishes today. So we're going to allow you to pick a few of these in the NFL, maybe some ones in your home as well, if you want to do that too. And we're going to try to grant them to you too this season. I know some people. And then we're going to have our Dallas Cowboys reporter, Jon Machota, join the show to give us the state of the Cowboys coming off that big Sunday night win against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. We're trying to figure out, are they good? I don't even know the answer to that. So he's going to tell us. But first, let's get to it. Here is what I'm hearing around the league. The Cleveland Browns are 1-4 and just seem to have no answers at this point. I think every single week leading up to their games, you and I have discussed the situation at quarterback. Deshaun Watson obviously being the story every single week. And he had the best game he's had against the Raiders a week ago. That was the best Deshaun Watson we had seen this season. And
And it still wasn't good. Just so you know.
But it wasn't that good, but it was better. And I thought that they were going to, I thought they were going to build off it, and continue to lean into the things that he's doing well. But we've got a lot of problems now. They lost to a rookie quarterback and just really got embarrassed in DC against the Commanders. And I think we've got to go kind of big picture first here. My thought originally was we got to do an autopsy. Like, let's just do an autopsy on the Cleveland Browns. But
I love it.
Here's the problem, though, Chase. If you do an autopsy, that means that they're
It
dead.
starts and ends with Deshaun Watson too, and they're
Okay,
dead
but
if you do an
I
autopsy.
don't believe the Cleveland Browns are dead. So,
Okay.
but if we were to do an autopsy, I think we should pick at the different parts here to try to figure out what the problem is, starting with who you just mentioned, which is Deshaun Watson. So let me ask you what you're seeing from him in this game that makes you think this team's in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, where do you want me to start? It's
Yeah.
like, look, I try to find the positive in every situation in life, really, especially when I'm talking quarterbacks. It is very difficult right here to find the positive. And look, we've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. He looks like a shell of himself. When he's out there playing, he doesn't trust his arm. He doesn't have confidence. It's like there's we've talked about this a lot, you and I. It's like a black cloud over him from all the outside stuff, from all the pressure, from the contract, from the off the field stuff. And when you watch him play, it's almost like slow motion. I don't want to see quarterbacks playing in slow motion. I want to see quarterbacks making quick decisions, ball out of their hands, knowing where to go with the football. Because when I watch the film, stuff's open. It's not like wide open, but his receivers haven't helped him. The offensive line has struggled at times. The run game hasn't gotten going. I mean, it really isn't all on Deshaun Watson, but most of it is. And because of that $230 million contract, that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of layers to it. I think the fact that Deshaun's not playing well is the biggest issue that they have, despite them trying to figure out a way to put him in a good position, right? And we know Ken Dorsey is the offensive coordinator that comes from Buffalo. Kevin Stefanski is the play caller, also the head coach. Yet it all feels a bit disconnected, the three of them. It doesn't all feel very smooth in terms of what they're looking to do.
Yeah, because they're trying to merge Ken Dorsey's spread offense with Kevin Stefanski's under center offense with Deshaun Watson, who's not looking good at any of them. So you're exactly right, because they don't know what they are on offense. They don't have an identity.
They don't. And then they've got pass protection issues that every week it just seems like new problems up front reveal itself. And I think they're at a point where they need to find answers, and I just don't know if they have them. I don't know if they're in a position right now as an organization to know what to do, because I think Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski and the rest of this team are in a position right now where they can't move off Deshaun Watson. They can't. The Cleveland Browns need to continue to stick with him because of the contract that they've given him.
Why,
right?
Dianna? Because of the contract? You're going to lose the locker room if you continue to play this guy and he goes out there week in and week out and puts film. They're going to call you out as a fraud. You're a player's coach. There's a reason you're two-time coach of the year. You're not that. You're not that. I am not convinced at any point at all that this is a Kevin Stefanski or an Andrew Berry decision. It is 100% coming from the owner, in my opinion, that we gave him this contract. We don't want to look like idiots again for the Browns franchise. You've seen that viral Browns jersey. They don't want Watson to become another name on it. And Kevin Stefanski's hands are tied, in my opinion.
So what do you do? So if you're Kevin Stefanski, how do you fix this?
You can't. If you are not allowed to bench your starting quarterback, who is the problem for the most part, not all the problem, your hands are tied. You can't do anything. You're trying to finesse the situation. At some point, you have to try somebody else. DTR, Jameis Winston. I just don't know if he has the go-ahead. That's why this whole situation is tricky, because of the contract, like you were saying. But more importantly, the owner doesn't want to look like this franchise is just so torn apart. We gave him this. We're sticking with it. Eventually, you're going to lose the locker room, because the locker room don't care about the owner. You know what I mean? Like the owner makes these decisions. The locker room cares about winning. It is a miserable, miserable place to walk into a locker room when you're 1-4. I've been there. I've been there twice in my career. 1-4, 1-5. We turned the season around, but it's just, there's no hope. You need hope. The defense isn't playing as well as they want. You need hope on offense. I'm not saying that Jameis Winston's going to come in and be the hope, but you got to try something different, Dianna, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's that spark that you talk about. And I think what we all think of immediately is that Kevin Stefanski has been in this position before. He's done this already. We saw it last year. And he did it with a bunch of different quarterbacks, and obviously ending the season with a playoff run with Joe Flacco. So we know that a spark could create something great for them, and perhaps they could turn it around, which is why I don't think they're dead. I think if they can improve the run game when Nick Chubb eventually gets back up on the field, they improve the play action and continue to work on those things that Deshaun does well, they could maybe have a little bit hope in that building, because it's not great. It is just, it's not a good place.
Who brings more hope right now, Jameis or DTR?
Based on what I saw this summer and just what I was hearing, DTR. I think he gives them a really good shot because he had a good camp. I think Jameis is a louder and more of a character person. Yeah. But in terms of running the offense, that was my big takeaway from being there for their joint practices. So I'm curious to see if they eventually convince ownership, if that's really the holdup here. If they're able to go, all right, well, now we can make a pick here, and we'll cross that bridge if we ever get there.
Yeah.
I just don't see them doing it, Chase. I don't.
It's got to be super frustrating to not only the men in the locker room, but to everyone that works inside that building, because winning cures all. As soon as you're winning, you're feeling good about yourself. It's a fun place to come in. You got to imagine this is weighing really hard on Kevin Stefanski. You got to imagine this is weighing really hard on Andrew Berry. And so Yeah,
especially when they've had success together. Like they have a great
Yes.
relationship themselves. They work in tandem. They're not a very drama-filled organization since they've taken over. Yes, years past have been, but they have a great ability to lead well, and I think this is going to be the biggest test for them in their professional careers, because you're right, their hands are tied. They're playing with a quarterback that I do think they've seen spurts of greatness, right? Obviously, dropping balls in the end zone is not on Deshaun Watson.
Help. Yeah.
But it's everybody needs to do more there. Every single person. And fans hate to hear that, right? They hate, like, oh, yeah,
100%. They want to win.
They want to win. But the reality is everybody has to be better. And okay, Chase, let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this when I was watching the game on Sunday. Yes, pressure's on Kevin. Yes, pressure's on Ken Dorsey. Yes, pressure's on Jim Schwartz and all the coaches. But where are the leaders in the locker room on the Cleveland Browns? Like, who are they? Where's Myles Garrett in all this? He's always the example of what you want to be and how you want to work. But I'm curious with what they're doing. I reported in my column over the weekend that they had a players-only meeting last week after they lost to the Raiders, right? Granted, I know the kind of joke is like player-only meetings are bad news.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Because usually you lose after, and look,
exactly.
They just proved it. Because that means, oh my gosh, well, actually, you tell me, what happens in a player-only meeting? Like, who stands up? Who talks? Do you clap? Do you have music on?
You know who usually talks, Diana? Is the quarterback. That's who usually talks. So I can't imagine in any world, stretch of imagination, in this closed door of players-only meeting, that Deshaun Watson got up there and said, we need to do this, we need to do that, when he's not the one doing it out there. But look, the best teams I've been on are player-led teams. So I actually like that they're having players-only meetings and not waiting until they're 1-8 or 1-9. And I've been on certain teams that... I'm not going to say who, but some of the player leadership have gone to the coach and said, look, we need to get this guy out of there. I'm not talking about quarterback position, but we need to get this guy out of there because, one, it's not great for morale. Two, you're going to lose the locker room. I mean, if you don't think these conversations are being had, you are crazy, because they absolutely are. They fight, they bleed, they sweat together, and they're trying to get a freaking win. And when you can point to mostly one guy on that team, that's the issue. Believe me, Myles Garrett, he's having combos with Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, no, it's really good insight. Look, we'll see what they do. They're sticking with them. We'll see if Nick Chubb, when he eventually returns, if he could give that team some juice.
That would be good.
And look, this thing could get turned around, and we'll see if they'll be able to figure this out. But the team that they lost to the week prior were the Vegas Raiders, and they didn't look great either against the Denver Broncos. And the Raiders obviously are really getting the headlines right now because of the Davante Adams situation. So we all know right now that the Raiders are open to trading him. They've been talking to several teams, including the New York Jets, New Orleans Saints, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs. I would consider those two teams a little bit more on the outside of all of this, just due to the fact that they don't want to pay as much of this contract, right? $13.5 million he's owed. They look at this as a one-year rental. So here we are now, okay? The Jets are coming back from London after a loss, after it appeared that...
From London.
Did I do that again? I can't stand it. It's just, I can't help it. Aaron Rodgers obviously has trust issues with his receivers, despite the fact that Garrett Wilson and him were much better. It's still not there, though. We all, let's just call it what it is. We know he wants the people he trusts. The New Orleans Saints, Monday night, what we will see. But Chase, when I list all those teams, Jets, Saints, Steelers, Bills, Chiefs, in your perfect world, who's the team that's going to the owner going, give me the money and give me this draft and sign off on this thing because we need Davante Adams in this building?
Yeah. I mean, what a great question, because Davante Adams would make all these guys contenders. I mean, let's call it what it is. My heart wants to say the Chiefs, but I just know that the chances of that getting done are very slim. So we'll just move on to the Buffalo Bills. Look, you can't tell me After watching the Buffalo Bills game where Josh Allen completed 30% of his passes, that a Davante Adams guy wouldn't come in and be the bona fide number one and take this offense to a completely another level. Look, I get it. They were without leading receiver Khalil Shakir. Keon Coleman, great 4th and 6th catch for a house call. But I don't even know. This is what I'm talking about, Dan. I don't even know if Shakir and Coleman on some teams would be their number 2 receivers. And that's putting it lightly. It has no disrespect. Like, I think Shakir's going to grow into a good player. But when I'm Josh Allen and I'm the quarterback and I'm looking back out there and I'm trying to figure out, do I throw to Matt Collins or Keon Coleman or James Cook out of the backfield, which I think James Cook is awesome. Like, he's been their stud this year. Like, give me a number 1 receiver.
So Josh calls him Jim.
Yeah, Jim. Like, Jim, old Jim's back there. Like, I really do think, I really liked how the Bills played in the second half of that game. That defense put the straps on C.J. Stroud. They got to have somebody on offense. I think he takes them to another level.
I agree with you. I also think the Bills need to use Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, more the way we saw him use last year. That to me would be the adjustment if they can't get Davante. I don't think that the Bills have the financials right now to get this done. I think they're going to try. Brandon Beane is a really good general manager who knows.
Yeah,
he's got a really good sense. So we'll see. And here's what I can tell you about the Raiders at this point. They don't even want to take on some of the salary. They're looking for a clean sweep here. They're looking for a clean, just we're paying you. You're going to pay this.
So who's the if you had to guess next week gets done or the week after, who's he going to?
Why do you say next week?
I don't know. I just figured it'd get done so the Raiders don't have to pay anymore.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying which lineup is he in is what you're saying. Yeah. I thought you meant like when the trade becomes official because I have intel that tell me or people that are in the know that are saying that this thing is moving. And the Raiders want it to move though. The Raiders want this to move. As you just pointed out. So
are we waiting on a certain team to get back from London and get their pieces together?
They are back. They are home. The New York Jets are home.
Yeah, but not like jet lag. You know what I mean? Jet lag.
We're tired. We're not going to trade. We're not going to give Aaron what he wants until we get a nap and a tall latte.
Hey, sleep's real.
Sleep is real. Or the need for sleep is real. That's my birthday gift to you. Sleep. So, look, I think the Jets are still the front runners on this. I don't have any new intel that says that they're out of this thing. If anything, I think it's just more of what are we willing to do? What are we going to do to get this done? I think this will get done this week.
Boom! Rossini bomb. Let's go.
Now look. Other teams.
Don't walk it back now.
No, I'm not walking back. I'm laying this out. Other teams, like the Chiefs and Bills, are hoping this thing stalls. Because every single week that goes by, they owe Davante Adams less money.
And it's what, $960,000 a week? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, so it adds up.
Maybe 2 more weeks the Chiefs could get him? Could you imagine if the Chiefs got him? I mean, it would be amazing.
That would be pretty.
Patrick Mahomes.
Pretty ridiculous. But remember, Davante Adams doesn't have a choice in any of this. So he's just sitting there waiting, hoping
hopefully
they
don't do him dirty, though. Like, trade him to somebody that, you know what I mean? I mean, they could, though.
They're going to do what's best for the organization, Chase. That's how this works. This is business.
Sorry, I forgot to ask you another question. Are we still thinking a 3rd round pick? Second?
Good question. They still want a second. Okay. So they're all in the negotiation mode right now, but I don't think so. I don't think there's a team right now desperate enough to do that. So, all right. So we mentioned the Raiders in that game against the Denver Broncos. And I know we spent the last show talking about the Broncos defense and Vance Joseph just doing an exceptional job.
Yeah, balling.
You know, and I did have flashbacks watching them of you and I watching Surtain in the summer together and people like, oh my God, dude, he's so good. Right?
For real, like, what did I say, Diana? What did I say to you? I came up to you, you were doing your little media round table. You were seeing all the people and I'm just sitting there like I've never been there to the media to practice. And you come up to me and go, you said, I think you said, how does Bo Nix look? I said, I don't care how Bo Nix looks. Look at Patrick Surtain.
That's exactly what you said, actually. Balling. you kept adding it to everything we're talking about. You're like, yeah, but the defense is so good. And I was like, yeah. We're here for the rookie quarterback. We're here for the rookie quarterback. Stop talking, cheese. Right? But you were right. And the thing is, Bo Nix should be happy that this defense is playing the way they are, because they're the reason why they've been able to turn this thing around a bit. So something that stood out, and I didn't text you when I saw it, and I figured I'd just ask you on the show, but the dynamic between Bo Nix and Sean Payton, the cameras captured not coach yelling at quarterback yelling at coach. A rookie quarterback, like, how did you read that situation?
I loved it. Every single bit of it. Look, it's Bo's 5th game. Hadn't played well. Played pretty good this game, actually, though. And the thing about, how do I say this nicely? Because I know Sean listens to Scoop City, and I love Sean to death. Sean can get a little bit wild on the sideline. Like, Sean has goggles and vision, and it's just on the play at hand, and he's always thinking like 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. And I think what happened, based on how Sean was looking at his call sheet, because I've seen Sean Payton do this with Drew Brees before, I'm pretty sure, and he was looking at the bottom left of his call sheet where the 3rd down plays are. My guess is that Sean called a wrong play on a wristband into Bo Nix, and they ran it, and they didn't get it, and Sean comes off like, what in the world? It's wristband 58. You called wristband 56. What are you doing? And Sean didn't see the play come out. That's how I viewed it, because I saw Davis Webb sort of getting into it with Sean too. So I actually really loved like giving it back to Sean, because one thing that Sean wants from his players is passion. And if you do it in a way that doesn't disrespect the coach and doesn't show the coach up, but you're standing your ground and you are so dug in that you really truly believe I'm right. Like, Sean loves that in a coach or in a player. And so I thought it was great.
Yeah, I was so impressed with the confidence that Bo was showing, of like, his belief in what he did. And after the game, I mean, they shared that they made up, and it was "I love you," the whole spiel. And to the media, Peyton said that he's got a little Ferris Bueller in him, and Ferris Bueller, as we all know, was the kid that always got out of things, who always found a way out of trouble.
Man,
and
whatever.
So Sean can't help himself.
Sean was backtracking today on his comments. He's like, "No, we're good. I like the passion."
That was a really cool moment. And look, I do enjoy watching those two build this relationship, because we know how much Sean believes in Bo, and even from having conversations with Bo myself, he's all in on his coach. He trusts his coach so much. So just to see this growth is really cool. All right, so something else that I wanted to hop into, or at least jump into, from what you were seeing from the quarterbacks, was the Steelers, right? So our Dallas Cowboys reporter is going to join us a little bit to talk about that game against the Cowboys. But from the Justin Fields, Russell Wilson storylines that we're going to be following for the next few weeks, did Justin Fields do enough to keep Russell Wilson away now that he's healthy?
God, we've asked this question, and I've been, not just you, but I've been asked this question so many times.
Because you're like the Fields. Justin Fields daddy.
I do. I'm going to keep it real. He didn't play well this game. Like, he didn't play well. He was inaccurate. He got out of the pocket too early at times. He held on the ball too long. I mean, all things that Bears fans were like, this is a Justin Fields I know and love, and this is what we hate, and this is why he's up, yada, yada. Okay, I got that. This was the first game that I thought Justin looked a little outmatched and just wasn't playing well. And so, yeah, I mean, look, did you see Russell Wilson when Fields got taken out of the game, which was a whole nother story. I'm not even going to get, but he took his earpiece off so quick and was like, I'm like, you're the third quarterback. Like, so he was like,
you're not even active.
I know, but did you see him? He was like so excited. And Kyle Allen comes in, throws a 19-yard strike, but then Fields comes back in and completes the next 4 and scores a touchdown. Look, it didn't look well. I did like that, and I'm sure Arthur Smith and the guys on the offensive staff of the Steelers really liked Fields' last drive, ending with a touchdown pass to Freiermuth. Thought they had won the game. Dak comes down, drives it down. This opens the door. I say all this. This opens the door to maybe let's try Russell out. And on the broadcast, they were saying that Russ is healthy. This will be a big week for him in practice. So it's going to be fascinating to see how Mike Tomlin sidesteps all the conversation, because it's going to be talked about the entire week.
Yeah, we're due for some amazing quotes. I mean, he actually supplies them every week. We're not due anything.
Do you see the wine one?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
He's so good. All right, so what else did you see around the league from the quarterback position, specifically with Indy, right? So you got Joe Flacco out there.
Bowling!
I mean,
Ageless wonder.
He's 39 years old and out there looking like he's in his early 30s, having no issue. It does make me think of you, because I know that's, you do not want to go back and play for a lot of reasons, but physically is part of it. Yeah. So the Colts have a situation here where Joe Flacco does a really good job. I know they did not win, but I see things from Flacco in that game that are, why would you not keep playing him? So my question for you, do you think that the Colts should just go back to their guy or ride with Joe?
That is, look, I am still the biggest Anthony Richardson fan. I think there's something there to it. He hasn't played well. And Colts fans are going to say, well, he played 4 snaps before he got hurt, and those were the best 4 snaps of the entire year. Okay, 4 snaps. Guys, calm down. I think that Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win right now. Just like he would give the Browns the best chance to win right now if he was on the Browns, but he's not. I think it also opens up the playbook for Shane Steichen. You saw more of these throws down the field. Not that Anthony Richardson can't make it, but a lot more accurate, playing the actual offense, playing on time, playing in rhythm, no stupid mistakes, no turnovers. And look, I know they lost to the Jags, but you got to imagine that the Colts are watching this and saying we probably need to stick with old Joey Flacco.
The Colts, the only team that called Joe Flacco this offseason. Miami said no.
I don't know how.
Cleveland said no. Well, you know why. So,
Yeah,
but you know what's? I am curious though. I am curious. Will the Colts be in the same position this offseason as we saw the Cleveland Browns? Will they say, I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. But I think that's interesting. Will they make the same, we'll call it mistake that Cleveland made, or will they?
It depends on the front office that's there.
I don't think it's as easy as we think it is in terms of making these kind of calls. All right, finally, New England. All right, we've seen enough of Jacoby Brissett. Yeah. No? Are we ready for the rookie here?
I mean, yeah.
They've got the Houston Texans with a really good defense, and that's the problem.
I would not put Drake May out there.
This is a tough team to make that transition with, right? But, I mean...
Have you watched the O-line play?
Of the Patriots?
Yeah.
Yeah, not great. But
not good.
Some of the mistakes, though, were coming from Jacoby.
Totally. Yeah. But he was also pressured on 54% of the dropbacks, which is like the highest rate in the league this year. So it's hard to make throws. I agree that the Patriots probably aren't going to the playoffs. At some point, you got to make the decision, right, to play the young buck. And I don't know if they're worried about him with his confidence level, if he gets back there and makes bad decisions because the offensive line is so bad. I don't know. What are you hearing?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Well, I can just tell you that people around the league have been sharing with me since the summer that the New England Patriots should have went with Drake May the whole time. So
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was one of those decisions that it wasn't most other organizations.
Was it flabbergasting? I've been using that word today. I like that word.
I appreciate when you're learning new words, and flabbergasting
It's not a new word. Easy.
How'd you do in your SATs?
I know this word.
How'd you do in your SATs? How'd you do in your SATs?
I think it was 1,200.
That's really good.
12,
You're a quarterback. I guess you have to be smart.
I was good in math, not so bad in English. Not so great in English.
Case in point. All right, we'll see what New England does. When we come back, we are going to dive into the state of the Dallas Cowboys. And what does Jerry Jones' helicopter really look like inside? We'll be right back. After perhaps one of the longest days in NFL history in terms of just game action, the day starting obviously really early in the morning on Sunday with that game in London and ending in Pittsburgh between the Steelers and the Cowboys, and Dallas getting that win despite the fact that you're dealing with all those delays. And our Jon Machota was there covering the Dallas Cowboys for us here at The Athletic and joined Scoop City. Jon, we haven't had you on yet.
Welcome to Scoop City.
I don't know how this happens, but we talk about the Cowboys so much. So it's so good to have somebody who actually has a clue about the team and who's in the locker room around the team as much as you are. So let's get into it. Chase, I know, has got a gazillion questions, but I'm going to ask the most simple question to you because from afar, I'm struggling trying to figure out what this team is. So here we are, start of October. The Dallas Cowboys are what?
No, that's a good question. I think most people don't really know. I think they are a little bit of a continuation off the last 3 years. You know, teams that won double-digit games, but I don't think they're quite to that level. I think they've taken a little bit of a step back, and these injuries have certainly affected them. I think it helps them that the league is way more wide open than it's ever been. But it's tough to look at this team from what we've seen from the start of the season and go, you know what, this is going to be the one that finally gets it done in January. And that's ultimately, no matter what happens in the regular season, that's how this team is going to be judged on, is what they do in January. So obviously you got to get there first. And wins like last night help, but they're pretty much in a spot right now where I don't think anybody can definitively say, this is exactly what they are. This is what you can expect from the Cowboys.
When I watched the game last night, Jon, which was, pretty late Pacific time. I can't imagine what you were going through Eastern time when it ended. But Dak Prescott, to me, this is going to sound a little crazy. He had his best game of the year outside of the turnovers, right? The strip sack fumble from the best player on the field, TJ Watt. I don't really blame the interception on him in the red zone. I think it was a little miscommunication between him and CeeDee. Then the long post interception, I get that. But you got the resilience, you have the patience, you have the inner strength to actually just flush it without your best players on the field, without a run game at all, and you go down and you win the game in a game that could be a turning point game for them come December and January when they're needing seeding. What did you see out of Dak last night, man? Because I thought it was really impressive.
So the only one I really questioned was the one down the middle, the interception to Jalen Tolbert, just because of the timing, 1st and 10, and in certain games that the Cowboys have played with Dak Prescott, and I thought this was going to be one, there's been certain games where you're just like, well, yeah, you're going to have to push the ball down the field to beat this team. You're missing these guys in defense. But the way this game was going, I just didn't think it was needed. I thought that they could just keep going up and down the field, and you would have been fine. I didn't think that the Steelers were doing anything defensively that would prevent them from eventually being able to score. And so that one left me scratching my head. But overall, I thought he did build off of what he did against New York the week before, where he had his best game statistically. But it is interesting, like from my standpoint as a writer, because you're constantly in the second half going through, okay, what am I going to write? What's my number one storyline? And throughout it, it's as good as Dak is playing, the loss is on him because of those three turnovers. And as you get down to right at the end of the game, it turns to, well, you got to give them credit for getting them in that situation. Also, the other flip side of it is I'm watching the game, I'm thinking, man, they haven't been able to run the football all season. They're finally doing that. I'm going to write about Rico Dowdle. And then he fumbles on the goal line right when you think that's what you're going to write about. And Dak saves the day by jumping on that ball. So it's what I love about sports is that it's just not predictable and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. And so I will say that Dak needs to play better going forward because they're not going to probably have Micah Parsons next week. You're not going to have DeMarcus Lawrence for a few more weeks. You're not going to have Brandon Cooks for a few more weeks. So they need Dak at his absolute best.
Yeah, the run game, it appeared to be better than what it actually was when I went back to the box score and looked at it. I thought they were running it better, but when you look at it on the ground, it wasn't as great as it maybe looked. Jon, on TikTok, I follow these women who just read lips, like that's their job. They read lips of celebrities and then like tell you what like J-Lo is saying to Ben and I can't even name a celebrity off the top of my head that I even care about, but I watch these things because I love the gift of lip reading. I think it's fun, and obviously these people don't want their lips read. So
right.
That being said, you are now the Cowboys lip reader. I was following along your Twitter, and CeeDee Lamb looked over at Dak and said something, and I saw a lot of people trying to figure it out. What do you think he said?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident watching over and over again here. I think he said jump balls and I got you. So it was on that interception. What I think is what happened on this interception is Mike McCarthy said after the game that they thought that they might have got Pittsburgh caught with too many men on the field. And I think he took that shot thinking that he was going to possibly get a penalty, and it was a kind of a free play type thing. And he needed to throw it probably to the back of the end zone as opposed to the front, or at least that's what CeeDee was thinking. And so they definitely had miscommunication there. And let me just state, there are plenty of times, I mean, I've covered the Cowboys throughout the entire Dez Bryant era. There's plenty of times where I spent more time watching Dez on the sideline through my binoculars than I did watching the game, just because he told you so much. And there's times, don't get me wrong, CeeDee Lamb has had times where he was you could just tell the body language. He's upset with not getting the ball in certain situations. There's been multiple times this happened. Last night was not one of those. I did not get the sense. As soon as that interception happened, I immediately took my binoculars, watched CeeDee and Dak talk about it. They did not seem like that they were in any type of animosity or any argument or anything like that. But it is interesting with TV how if you slow it down and Dak doesn't look at him, you can be like, oh, there's some drama here. They're not on the same page or whatever. I didn't get that sense.
What is their relationship this year? Obviously, two guys that just got a lot of money to be together. And I know they've always had a great one, but just from your observations, being around them, seeing in the locker room, how would you describe them best at this point in the season?
Yeah, I think they have a really good relationship. I think that, I did think it was funny when CeeDee signed the contract and people speculated, well, Dak's going to get done because CeeDee's not signing that contract unless he knows Dak's going to be there. And I'm just like, these guys care about the money. Let's calm down and all that. I mean, if you're going to make this guy the second highest paid non-quarterback in the league, I don't think, I'm sure he wants a good quarterback, don't get me wrong. But I don't think that it's like, well, now this absolutely has to get done. But it did, and so they are going to be connected. And I think they have a really good rapport. I don't know that they're like best friends and they hang out all the time. There's a little bit of an age difference there, and Dak is moving into the dad life and all of that. But on the field and in practice and things like that, everything I've seen from them, they have a good rapport. I don't see it going the way of. Thinking of you saying the lip reading thing yesterday, a big thing with the post game with Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I've never gotten the sense that CeeDee would be like, I'm not getting the ball, get me out of here. Like he's not on that. And also, I thought Dez and Romo had a good rapport, and they definitely had those moments as well where you were like, man, I don't know like how this is going to work. It seems like Dez is pretty fired up about this, but you know what it is? It's just like anything else. As soon as you get that next touchdown pass, everything's fine after that. So,
yeah, it's hard to be on a team. It's hard to be in a relationship. Chase and I could barely get through a show without killing the other, but we look for the good, right? And then the good tends.
I mean, I look for the good. I don't know about you. So, John, wait, I want to, because, look, Mike McCarthy is a lame duck coach. He doesn't have a contract next year. And you said it earlier in your answer. You're trying to find something to write about. And if the Cowboys would have lost that game, and at 2-3, you're sitting there looking directly at the head coach. I actually thought the play calling on the 15-play, 70-yard drive at the end of the game was excellent. But he still doesn't have a contract. What does he have to do to get a contract next year? Do they have to make a deep run into the playoffs, or are we looking at a complete another rebuild, fire everyone? Because it's just so fascinating to me. Because when you talk about the Cowboys, you talk about their star players, you just mentioned it. Brandon Cooks, Micah, Lawrence, they're all out. Dak's sort of doing this thing by himself. Where does that fit in the contract situation with Mike McCarthy?
Just knowing Jerry Jones and what he's said this offseason, it's hard for me to say that it's anything less than making a run in January. I don't think that it'll be enough to have another double-digit win season, get in the playoffs, lose in the first or second round. I don't think that'll be enough. And there's a part of me that thinks that one of the reasons that'll be the case is because, people talk about rebuild, soft rebuild, young players, things like that. How much are you rebuilding and changing a team when they've just paid Dak Prescott, they just paid CeeDee Lamb? all of their future plans are on doing whatever it takes to have Micah Parsons there. So how much is your team really changing? So there's a part of me that thinks that Jerry in the offseason, if it's another disappointing end of the season, will be like, well, there's the only way I can make anybody feel like there's any real change is by changing out the coaching staff. And that might not be for the better. It could lead to things that are
exactly.
far worse. Because the thing that people need to remember, too, with the Dallas Cowboys is I know it's easy to write off the 12 wins 3 years in a row, but if you look at the history of the Cowboys since their last Super Bowl, there isn't much consistent regular season success year after year after year. There's like an up year, down year, up year, down year, couple down years, maybe an up year. Like, it's very rare that it's been, consistent like it's been under Mike McCarthy. But he wasn't brought in, though, to win during the regular season. It was, we're moving on from Jason Garrett because we need to win in the postseason. And I think ultimately that's what it's going to fall on him. And to your point, it's probably not fair with all the injuries they've had.
Yeah. John, Chase has been on Super Bowl winning teams. I've covered them. You've seen the Dallas Cowboys beat teams that go on to win the Super Bowl. And I think the one consistent item that these teams always have is they've got one side of the ball that's usually a standout, right? They're really good on defense. They're really good off, depending on how you see it. Do you think the Dallas Cowboys right now are at a point where, and look, I know it's early, and to even use the word Super Bowl is ridiculous, but do you think there's one side of the ball that is going to be strong enough to carry them through so that, to look like a team that can go that far?
I would think that they've dodged some bullets with not having DeMarcus Lawrence lost for the season, not having Micah Parsons lost for the season. It looks like Marshawn Nealon, who, with the way he went down last night, looked like that could be potentially season-ending. It turns out that's not going to be that way. So they've kind of, yes, the injuries have been bad, but they aren't season-ending injuries. I think ultimately it will have to be on the defensive side of the ball. I don't see a point where this team, for it to be on the offense, I think you need to establish more of a running game, and I don't know that happens all season long. And so I think it's your offense is good, but the defense will have to be elite, and most importantly, it will have to be in January. I feel like whenever the Cowboys do eventually break through and win a Super Bowl, I do think that they will do it as a wild card type team where the expectations aren't there and they kind of backdoor it and get hot at the right time. So this could be potentially one of those type of seasons because they aren't going to have the expectations going in that they had last year or previous years. I don't think they'll get to 12 wins. I don't know if they'll get to 10. I think their best chance is to possibly be a wild card at 8 or 9 wins. People will kind of write them off. Maybe they win that first round game, get hot at the right time. Now they'll have to do it on the road, but they have started the season 3-0 on the road.
So Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, Philadelphia Eagles, pretty good. The Commanders look like one of the top teams in the entire NFC. Forget about the NFC East. Philly, I don't know about them, right? NFC, though, East with the Giants as well. Like, they're not throwaways. Do you see this team getting to 8 or 9 wins, 10 wins with a schedule like that, specifically in their division?
It's going to be tough. I mean, I thought they would lose last night going into that game with just the injuries they had and things like that. But yeah, I mean, they got Detroit coming up, then they got to bye. They got to play San Francisco, who they have not been able to beat for the last few years. For no matter how much they tried and changed things around, they just have that Niners team has been their kryptonite. So I do think there is a chance. I think Philly's fallen off. Washington reminds me a lot of the 2016 Cowboys when Dak was a rookie, where everything was just going the right way. Won 13 games, won the division. They seem like they got something going there, and Jaden Daniels obviously a huge part of it. But no, I just think that the Eagles aren't what they've been in the past, and I was wrong on that. I thought for sure this would be a Cowboys-Eagles deciding the division again, and that's not going to be the case. I think it comes down to Washington and Dallas. I do think that they split when they play, but I think Washington ends up winning the division, and I think Dallas does get in the wild card with 8 or 9 wins.
Quick one before I let Dianna hop in for one more. We talked about the run game, and I didn't bring it up, and I apologize. It's been bad. Like, one of the worst rushing attacks in the entire league. It's put a lot more pressure on Dak Prescott. Rico Dowdle, great, but he's your lead back. And then Zeke Elliott doesn't look great at all. You got Dalvin Cook. Where are we at with Dalvin Cook? I want to see some cooking going on the field, and he's not out there. I mean, are they going to call him up? What's the deal, man?
You sound like probably 99.9% of Cowboys fans. Like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing?
So the first few weeks, it was told to us that it was getting familiar with the playbook because he was not on the team during training camp. So now that those weeks have passed by, it's like, okay, so what is it now? Mike McCarthy did say that last week he did get some first team reps. And so it seems like it's trending in that direction where he's eventually going to be active on game day and get some opportunities. Maybe that's a spark that could get things going there, but they seem very, very loyal to Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle.
I got another question.
Chase,
Sorry. I got another question.
Wait, I want to push back on your question on Dowdle.
Okay, yeah, please do. Because I'm going to push back on
I think let's go. I think your version of Dalvin is not realistic of who Dalvin is. He was in New York last year. It wasn't great.
It was not great. So then that brings me to the other question. 29-year-old Dalvin Cook, 29-year-old Zeke Elliott, Rico Dowdle. Why, after Jerry Jones said, we're all in, did they not go out and get a legitimate running back, a.k.a. Derrick Henry? You could have him for $8 million, and look what he's doing against league, and it just takes so much pressure off Dak. That's what I don't get.
So Jerry has said that they couldn't afford him. Derrick Henry specifically asked about, but we all know that yes, on a 1-year deal, they obviously could have moved some things around and made that happen. What I see happening here is something that's happened throughout the time I've covered the Cowboys is that they get to these spots where they just really devalue positions. And for a long time, it was safety and defensive tackle, and they've stepped those up just a little bit. I mean, Mozzie Smith at defensive tackle is the first time they've spent a first-round pick since we're talking 91 Russell Maryland. Yeah. I mean, they have not. And so they go through these phases where they devalue these certain positions, and it is completely swung to running back. And the start of it is probably the fact that they drafted Zeke in the top 5, and then they paid him that contract, and they didn't get the return on the investment. And so now it's almost like, well, we'll get by with patching it together, because a lot of people point to this year's draft and them not drafting running back. I point to this year and last year's draft, because they knew that they were going to franchise tag Tony Pollard and not bring him back. So you knew last year, when they moved on from Zeke, you probably need to draft somebody in the 3rd, 4th round. Didn't do it, and then they didn't do it again this year. I thought that that's where they should have got their value, is by drafting one maybe in the middle of the draft, and they did not see that. And they thought partly reason why is because they felt Rico Dowdle was similar talent-wise to what they would have found in maybe the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah, well, maybe Jerry and Joe Shane from the New York Giants are sharing some meals together, discussing their lack of value on that running back position. Yet, as we see week in and week out, oh wait, you actually need a run game. You need the run game to support an offense. Yeah. So, speaking of Jerry, and I almost texted you this last week with the whole helicopter situation of, I know it's so difficult when you talk to people that cover the Dallas Cowboys to have any response to anything that seems bizarre to us, because you guys see it all. Like, it's not weird to you, but it's very weird to us that you have to cover a team that is essentially just one. It's just a big show in an entertaining way. But then Jerry lands his helicopter down on the practice field. I mean, what's going through your mind at this point? Are you like, this there must have been like an emergency? Like, what's going on? Like, what was going through your mind?
That's not the first time that now I would say it's the first time maybe like when practice was about to start, but we've definitely seen him land it there before. That's not completely out of the question. To be honest with you, when they moved to the Star in 2016, their headquarters, when they moved from Valley Ranch, that's right around the time he got it. And he allowed probably about 10 of us reporters to go up. And they took us around for a ride of all of Frisco and all the things. And I wasn't going to pass it up. I was like, yeah, I'll go up. And I'll tell you the thing that stands out most about it, craziest thing, it was the first time I ever been on a helicopter like that. And I thought the landing would be somewhat similar to, like an airplane where there's at least a little bump. I mean, it was like landing on pillows. Crazy, how nice this thing is. Amazing.
Really?
So he takes it all the time from the Star to the team's, the stadium out in Arlington. It's probably about a 45-minute to an hour drive, but in a helicopter, it's probably 5-10 minutes. And then he'll also take it up to Oklahoma sometimes for business and stuff like that too. And so anytime he does stuff like he did last week, though, I always feel like he's trying to do it on purpose. Did you really need to land it right at that time when practice was going on? I don't know. There's always just something with Jerry where you're just it's not uncommon to see him walking around and he's got 2 cameras and a boom mic around him, I mean, they've been shooting this Netflix thing for the last couple of years. So there's really, I wish I could tell you it was a surprise or, but it just it is kind of par for the course. And here's the great thing about my job. I grew up in Detroit. I'm not a Cowboys fan. And that's what's so great about covering the team, because I enjoy almost like the Kardashians of it, where fans hate it because they're like, this does not help winning, where I don't care about that. And I think it's kind of fascinating. And I know that after Jerry, it won't be nearly as entertaining, but maybe it leads to more winning. But for my job, it is pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Anything cool in his helicopter, by the way? I'm assuming it's pretty standard, but sometimes people have private jets that are a little bit more souped up. Like, does his chopper have anything in there that you remember?
Chopper.
I mean, unless they upgraded it, but like when I went on it, it was basically, I think it was brand new at the time, but it's like got, like 2 bench seats in the back, a couple of captain chairs in the back. So I think you'd probably take 8 people up, wherever. So.
Come on, Jerry. We're going to call you for a ride.
I was waiting for you to say like a hot tub in a bar, but yeah.
I mean, he would probably do. He probably would do it. I mean,
probably do a bar.
He did. I want to say like a kickoff to the season a couple years ago where he brought like Stephen A. Smith down in it, and then they started out a show with it or whatever. So that's not beyond Jerry to. You guys just need to ask. Right.
Well, this is perfect. It's Chase's birthday
in the
today.
copter.
So
go.
Chase, this is your birthday gift. Actually, I wanted to tell you, but it's the surprise.
I got a ride for my birthday.
No, I bought you a helicopter. So there you go. I will put that on my list of goals, though, to get on a Jerry Jones helicopter. That's awesome. Jon, thanks so much for your coverage. You're always all over the Dallas Cowboys news, and you always have such great observations about what's going on. Pretty much the state of this team. So thank you so much. We'll see if Dallas can turn around and perhaps make a deep run in the playoffs, and we will definitely have you back on. We'll see maybe in January. Back here on Scoop City, it is Chase's 38th birthday today. Happy birthday, my friend. You having a good day?
You said
good
46
week?
Earlier in the show, so now you're going to 38.
I thought you were 36, but you're actually 38.
Yeah. Birthdays on Monday sort of suck.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Like, you got the rest of the week, and you're like supposed to be my wife's cooking a nice home cooked meal, spend some time with the kids, going to their basketball practice, and then I'm like, oh, got to get up, go to work all over.
Yeah,
again.
but it's just like Monday.
Hey, honestly though, once you hit 40, after that, it's just another day. So I'm going to celebrate my birthday for 2 more years. That's what I hear, and that's my. I'm going to celebrate 2 more years, 39 and 40, and then I'm not going to celebrate.
And then it's just a big wrap. Done with the birthdays.
What are we doing?
Maybe all right,
50,
well then,
maybe 50.
Since the Monday birthday does kind of stink, I'm with you. I figured I'd let you have some birthday wishes. So after taking in all these games, and if you could have some of these wishes come true in the NFL right now, what are some of them? So give me one. Let's start there.
Yeah. Okay. Just one, not 3. Just one.
I'm giving you 3 for 38. I can't remember how old you are. 3.
All right. First one is I wish Nick Sirianni would coach better because I think the Eagles are actually good.
Sorry, I was not expecting that. I was not ready for that at all. I thought you were going to go way lighter. I thought you were going to go kind of offensive, minded something really cute about a quarterback. Like, I did not expect you to come in hot like that.
Well, good. That's why I don't tell you this stuff, because it is hot. And look, I've been I like Nick Sirianni, but when you take the offensive play calling really from him, he doesn't call the defensive plays. He doesn't call the special teams plays. He's a CEO coach, and you've had strategy issues in all 4 of your games this year. Just be better. I know you can, because I think the Eagles are good. Now, Jalen Hurts is another question for another pod, but I think they're good.
Yeah, this could be a good get-right game. They've got the Cleveland Browns at the link on Sunday, so we'll see if maybe this could be just a nice start to a run for them coming off the bye. All right, what's your second wish?
I wish the Bengals had a defense because Joe Burrow is balling.
I know.
And I like Lou Anarumo. I do. And I think his scheme is excellent. They've gotten a lot older, I think you would say, on defense. They've struggled to stop the run. And when I saw Joe Burrow throw for 395 yards or whatever it was and 5 touchdowns, I'm like, they're going to win this game. They're going to finally beat the Ravens. Nope. Joe Burrow's 1-9 versus Ravens. So it's just not cool. It's not cool to waste a quarterback like that and to waste a receiver like that, to be completely honest with you. So come on, Bengals. Show me something.
I like that. It's not cool. And it's not cool in the media if you do this for a living where you're just giving takes and sharing opinions and sharing information to be like, I told you. But when we talked about the Bengals, we always say the same thing. Or at least we've been saying it for weeks. And if you are a resident of Scoop City, you've heard me shout it that Lou Anarumo is great and all. But if he doesn't have young guys like we saw in 2019 when they made that run, this is not the same. This is not the same Bengals defense that we're thinking about playing in that Super Bowl. All right, your final wish. It's a big one. What do you got?
This is a big one. I wish Nathaniel Hackett would actually coach and liven up that Jets offense, because what I saw from the Jets was no play action, no movement of the pocket, no motion, no change of pass strength, no anything from that offense. It's like the Jets offense is stuck in 2012 with the New York with the Packers, right? That's when Aaron Rodgers was balling with the Packers, and it was just Rodgers at the line of scrimmage making stuff work. Gone are those days. You have to innovate. You have to move guys around. You have to move pieces around. You need to get on the same page as your receivers. But the fact that Aaron Rodgers, here's one. I don't want to give a lot of stats, and this is my only stat in the show. Aaron Rodgers is averaging 3.13 yards a pass attempt when he's under play action, when he's doing play action. 3.13 yards per pass attempt. That is awful. That's not good. That means they don't do it, and he's throwing underneath. He's not taking shots down the field. Come on. Liven it up, Nathaniel Hackett.
These were great birthday wishes. I was really not prepared for you digging in on this stuff, because I hope all your wishes come true here. And I hope for these fan bases especially, because especially in, specifically to the Jets. Look, we know that they're trying to get Davante Adams. I get it. Give everybody what they need on offense. I just don't know if that's going to be enough. Aaron Rodgers can't be calling the plays and running the offense. Yeah. He really could use someone with a fastball right now calling these plays. So fingers crossed. Although, isn't the rule if you say your wishes out loud, they don't come true? Did we mess that up?
Yeah, so all those guys are screwed.
Yeah, all right. Well, when my son's birthday's this week, I'll blow out a candle too, and I'll just say them all in my head, so perhaps they come true. I hope for you, this is my gift, Mizzou doesn't get embarrassed again.
What are we doing?
I'm sorry.
I'm okay with Mizzou getting embarrassed. You know why? Because 5 of the top 11 teams in the country lost, and they didn't talk about us on national television. Oh. Hide under the radar, baby.
That's what you do, right under the carpet. All right, Jace, well, we hope you have an amazing birthday. Enjoy your 30s. The 30s are the best. You'll see one day when you get to your
That's what
early
40s
50s
people
like
say.
Yeah, 30s are the best. I don't know. Everything's just right in the world when you're in your 30s. There's just something about getting in your 40s, it all falls apart. Like even just,
I heard the 40s are your best years.
Please, I'm going to get up from this chair after talking to you for an hour, and I'm going to be sore.
You're like Aaron Rodgers crawling on the field like he just got up from playing Legos with his child.
I know I am not a professional athlete, and this is sometimes a weakness of mine, but I will look at Aaron and think to myself, there's no way I would be able to do that. Like, I get his pain. So I'm way more sympathetic about Aaron Rodgers' situation because of his age than probably anyone else, because I'm trying to work out all the kinks myself. So, all right, either way, have an amazing birthday. We'll celebrate your birthday all week long. Thank you to everybody hanging out with us here on Scoop City. We will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.